zusammen mit Francesco Friedrich.
First 5 seconds finished. Track is clear for the second pilot set.
Innsbruck in Austria, high in the Tyrol mountain range, and above the town of Innsbruck, the city of Innsbruck, lies the small town of Igls, and that is where in 1964-1976 the Olympic Games sliding centre was built. Two natural tracks, one for bobsleigh, one for luge in 1964, and the artificial track built for 76 games we are still using. After the first of our two heats we have, surprise, surprise, an all-German top three. Two-time bronze medalist this season, Adam Amor, is in the bronze medal position, with brakeman Nick Stadelman making his two-man debut today. Five races so far this season. Francesco Friedrich has won 4 of them, and he lies in second place. Off the second fastest start, set a track record in the first heat. He's 14 hundredths ahead of Adam Amor, currently lying in the silver medal position. 5 seconds ahead of him is a man who has won 2 of the 5 races this season. Friedrich's run 4, they've only been 5, that's because they had a dead heat for gold last week in St. Moritz. Johannes Lottner and Georg Fleischhauer started faster than Friedrich and broke the track record to take the lead by 5 hundredths. So tight at the top, just 5 hundredths of a second covering the top 2. There's Hansi. Air temperature -2, ice hovering right around 0, so it's not going to be lightning fast perhaps at the end of the second run. But with Francesco Friedrich in the field, you can never count out another track record. Adam Moore with Nick Stadelman. Adam lying in 3rd place. And Marcus Treichel there chatting with Wolfgang Stampfer in the centre. Treichel lying in 5th position. 1200s behind 4th place Frank Del Duca of the USA. And Treichel is at the top of a massively tight group of sleds. Brad Hall, Dave Vesselink in an astonishing 7th place. Jacobs Callender in 8th. You saw Mats Miknes there. Kim Jin-Soo Korea, he's tied with Callender for 8th. And then in 10th place, China's Li Chunjian, the better of the 2 Chinese sleds. 11th for Patrick Baumgartner, just 300s out of the top 10. 400s ahead of Alex Virginer. There's Timo Rona. He is in 14th place. Now, our top 20 from the first 28 go through into Heat 2, and they go off in reverse order their first heat performance. So lastest goes fastest, or fastest goes lastest. And we go 20 down to 1. Mattia Variola with a change of brakeman to Riccardo Ragazzi after the first heat, and hopefully Adam Moore with a change of spikes after he left his the left sole of his left shoe behind in the first run. Race 6, IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Innsbruck in Austria. Manny Mahata watches on as the sled is put into the grooves for Italy's Mattia Variola, with Riccardo Ragazzi stepping in for Fabio Batti, who was in the sled in the first heat. Riccardo, the 30-year-old brakeman, making his 3rd two-man World Cup start after racing in Sigulda and last week in St. Moritz. It's his 6th official two-man race. Variola 18th at the start. Whoa! And in all sorts of trouble there. Just avoided the short wall, I think. Well, he won't drop out of the top 20. That's not going to help him improve his first heat performance. Nice quiet run down to the Kreisel so far. 100.2, not bad speed, came down a little early out of the Kreisel. Into corner 9, and that sets you up for 10. Long skid down to 10. Big height, got to get off cleanly here into the labyrinth at the bottom. This is very, very quick in terms of the way the corners come at you. Not the biggest speed at the bottom, 123. And that translates as 76 miles an hour. Don't forget, in St. Moritz they were doing 92 miles an hour, 148 kilometers an hour. So 51.55 compared to 51.78 in the first heat. Didn't get in too well, and Ragazzi gets in, but I think Mattia got caught up in the steering gear there somehow, dragged the sled over to the left, hauling it off 9 here. And then gets that little slide and a tap going into 10. Actually ended up on the right line. So second heat done for Mattia Variola. Next up, Cedric Follador of Switzerland. Luca Rolli with him on the back of the sled. Follador with an early start draw, number 6. 12th place in last year's race, so really doesn't want to be down here in 19th. Only 500s ahead of Mattia Variola of Italy. Only 200s behind Austin Taylor of Canada, and so it starts with the tight battles here in Innsbruck. 5:28 getaway, so loses any first heat advantage as he sits down. He's in the red behind Mattia Variola. Through the upper labyrinth, 4, 5, 6, and down into the Kreisel. Nice even parabola, comes out nicely. Into 8, corner 9. And then down to big left corner 10. Hurtling down through the labyrinth. Just creeping in front of Variola, 51.53, 200ths of a second quicker than the Italian. So if it was a one-heat race, he would have the lead by a couple of hundreds. Over 2 heats, he has the lead by 700ths of a second. Out of 9. Gets a pretty decent exit. Doesn't have to overcorrect. That shows the line was good from 8 to 9. And that might well have made the speed that he needed at the bottom. Everybody's rocking and rolling around. The Labyrinth built for open sleds of the 70s, not the modern machines we have half a century later. So next up, Austin Taylor with Mike Evelyn behind him. Taylor, as you can see, just 0.02 of a second faster in the first heat. But he did make the cut, unlike teammate Pat Norton. So both of them started outside the top 20. Austin Taylor, star draw number 25 for his 12th World Cup race. His first on this track. Only previous experience was 2- and 4-man racing in February last year in Europe Cup here. So the Canadian drivers particularly trying to combine World Cup with Europe Cup to try and learn as many European tracks as they can. 5:30 getaway. They started 5:26 in the first heat. So Whisker behind Cedric Follador. Still a Whisker behind. Second best speed. Follador was quicker in the Swiss Citius sled. Whips off the corner there. From 9 into 10. And 700s covering the top 2, so he's going to drop to the tail of the field. Across the line in third, 1500s back, 51.70 for Taylor Austin. Got it down. It looked a little less dramatic than the lower Labyrinth last time. Gets a little tap. That straightens him up nicely. Coming down the wrong side though. Out of 9. Again, as in the first heat. Trust the line. Didn't steer hard off it. Brought the sled back for 10. So still top 20 finish for Taylor Austin. Sun Kai-chi next for China. Little further adrift of his teammate Li Chun-jan than he would like to be, but didn't have the most beneficial start number. 16th here last year and 17th after the first heat. I'd like to find a spot or two to try and improve that. World Cup best of 11th, best this season of 12th in Winterberg, 5:19. They do start strongly. Fastest of the crews so far. Handy advantage already over Cedric Follador. 900s up in the first heat, 1/4 of a second up at the Kreisel. Nice exit from the Kreisel. Still holding that 1/4 of a second advantage, third best speed. Follador was quickest, so the gap will come down a fraction. 1600s up, should still have enough to take the lead. Across the line, a 10th in front, 51.52. That actually is the fastest run of the second heat so far. 100th quicker than Follador. So he adds to his 900s advantage, makes it a 10th of a second. Chen Heng behind him. It is such a short run, just 1,220 meters, 1,770 in St-Moritz. So very nearly half as long again. They were absolutely flying down here. 50 seconds to get down the track in track record time. Under 51 now. I wonder what the record was in 1976. Next up for Austria, Jakob Mandelbauer, former brakeman turned driver. This is his 6th two-man World Cup. Daniel Birchler behind him, making his two-man debut today. Twin brother Martin, also a brakeman for Austria. .519 getaway, equal fastest with Sun Kai-chi, so their 500s advantage stays intact. Still in green numbers. Down on the bottom right-hand side, it'll show you where they are on the splits if they drop behind, but if there is no number shown, that's because they are in the lead. 500s up, first heat advantage stays exactly where it was. Now, Sun Kai-chi, not as quick as Cedric Polidor down the track. Mandelbauer isn't either, but he is just keeping his nose in front of the Chinese slider. 800s up, ooh, little rocking and rolling in the labyrinth. He'll be ahead of the line. 1100s, 51.46. I'm not sure why the Austrians aren't teaching their drivers to duck their heads as they come out of 14. They know where they're going. And this track is so tight that 100th of a second can make a position difference. Well, Mandelbauer has the lead at the moment with 15 to go. He was tied for 15th in the first heat. Best World Cup race was actually the first of this season in Altenburg. He was 13th. Missed the cut last week in Samaritz. He was 21st, just outside, what was it, I think 200s. There he is, on home ice. Brakeman Daniel Birchler looking shyly, a little bit like Thomas Ducours there, a young Thomas Ducours. Mandelbauer leads, 5 down, 15 to go. Race 6 IBSF two-man Bobsleigh World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. We had a dead heat for 15th position. Austria's Jakob Mandelbauer and Mihai Tentia of Romania with Georgior Dash behind him. So no advantage whatsoever for the Romanians. They started 5.25 in the first heat. A little slower than Mandelbauer. They start 5.24. Still 500s behind as they sit down. So you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, little red square with 2. That's their position on the splits. You can follow their progress using that. Nice quiet run so far. 300s behind at the Kreisel. Little skid out of 7 down towards 8. Key out of 9. Not a bad line into 10. Decent height. Little late flop as he comes down into Labyrinth, creeping in front of Mandelbauer. Does Mandelbauer know the Austrian shortcut to the line? No, 51.44. A couple of hundreds quicker over 2 runs. And so, Julian Pacianu there, the coach of the Romanian team. Mihai Tentea breaks that deadlock, will be 15th, no worse. Best result here, 7th place though. That was back in November 2021. In one of our many COVID-era two-man races here. Had to really haul it off corner 9 though. Again, not getting that timing right. And that was the late flop off the Kreisel, put him late into 8, late into 9. All right, he leads. Ah, there you go, a little bit more cowbell now for the next sled. Timo Röhner and Mathieu Hersberger. Mathieu in only his 4th two-man World Cup. Altenburg, Sigulda, Samaritz so far this season. Raced here in December in the Europe Cup with Greg Jones, brakeman who's becoming a driver. And Timo Röhner, 2 World Cups here, 22nd in both January 19 and January 20. So pre-COVID. In 14th after the first heat, 5.25 getaway, 100th slower than the Romanians, so his entire first heat lead has been wiped out. It was just 100th. Mathematicians among you. So drops into the red behind Tentia, and Mandelbauer only 200s behind Tentia at the finish. And only 1300s back to Sun Kai Chi. Third best speed. Oh, that little Rocky off 9. $1,200 back. I think this is going to be fourth at the line. Drops 3 spots. No, third, tied with Sun. So, Tentia, as you see there, not the tallest of drivers. It's fair to say, 51.57. So tied for third with Sun Kai Chi. I beg your pardon, no, he's not. He's 100th ahead of Sun at the line. I missed my calculations there. Little late flops early on in the run, not ideal. And again, coming too hard off 9, cutting the ice. You can see all the bits of ice flying off the runners. They're not sharp-edged runners like an ice skate, not square-edged. They're very rounded, highly polished. So it's a lot of energy leaving the sled. So Thibaut Rona, the first of our Swiss sleds, I beg your pardon, the second of our Swiss sleds, now is our top Swiss sled, because you already had Cedric Follador. Mickey Vogt, 13th after the first heat. Start draw number 22, not ideal. And he and Amadou David Ndiaye, Senegalese-born brakeman, making his debut in the World Cup. 5:22 getaway, same as they did in the first heat. This is only the 4th official bobsleigh race for the brakeman. Did double 4-man and 1 2-man race here in the Europe Cup in December of 2024. Doubtless will have had some trips down in St. Moritz over the Christmas New Year break. 900s up, they were 800s up at the start from that 5:22 getaway. 900 still is the lead from Mickey Vogt. Really hard to make a difference on this track. And across the line, 1100s up, 51.39. Well, they had a 51.53 in the first heat. So that's 1400ths of a second quicker. None of your 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10 that we saw in St. Moritz as the track sped up. Brakeman early on the brakes. Going to have to learn to feather those. Well, mind you, this is a unique place. Next year it'll be different. We won't be finishing here in the tunnel under the ski piste. It'll be all different. New finish area, new finished building, new parts of the track being built. It'll be fed in. So at the end of this sliding season, the track will be partially demolished, and then new sections will be joined up. Down through the labyrinth, Mickey Vogt keeping it nicely on line. He has the lead, but still 12 to go. Next Italian sled is Alex Verginer, first out of the start shed, the 30-year-old. Only his second World Cup race, made his debut last weekend in St. Moritz, as did Mario Lambrughi, his brakeman. This is Mario's 5th bobsleigh race of any kind officially. Alex also in the 4-man tomorrow, I expect. Certainly was in St. Moritz. So he's combining driving in the 2-man at World Cup level with still being one of their first choice 4-man bobsled push athletes. A 10th up over Mickey Vogt at the start. He only had 100th in hand from the first heat, so 900ths of that was from the faster push. Nice exit from 9, but a bit of a skid. I beg your pardon, from the Kreisel down to 8. Now 9 down to 10. That was nice and straight. A 10th up still. Ooh, dropping into the reds. That skid robbing the sled of speed. Below the Kreisel. And dropping behind Mickey Vogt. Oh, and drops 3 spots. Only the 7th fastest run. He's our 9th sled down. But he was good down to the Kreisel. And the speed started going away. Oh, missed the handle. And that's the danger of starting on the block. So robbing them of that initial hard hit on the handle, hard hit on the sled. And then here, skating down below the Kreisel. Bang, onto 8 hard. That drags the little speed advantage he had out of the sled. So from Alex Virginia to Patrick Baumgartner with Robert Messier behind him. 10th of our 20 sleds in the second heat. Youth Olympic champion 2012. Rob Messier, 19th two-man race. 48th in the World Cup for Baumgartner. 5:23. So a little faster than the first heat. And just 100th given away to current leader Mickey Vogt. So most of his 600s first heat advantage stayed in hand, and that slightly faster launch, giving him initial early speed. Top speed down to the Kreisel, 100.4, 62.4 miles an hour. Speed is still very good, within 1/10 of a kilometre an hour of Cedric Follador, the fastest. Gap is hovering around half a tenth. Is he in front of the line? He is. 500s back, 51.40. Mickey Vogt on the left, and his new brakeman on the right there. Driver has to be pretty accurate at the line, yelling at the brakeman after they go over. You don't want the brakeman sitting up before then. Oh, whoa! That was late. That was late. So Patrick Baumgartner leads from Mickey Vogt and Mihai Tentea. 10 down, 10 to go here in Innsbruck, race 6 of the IBSF two-man Bobsleigh World Cup. Baumgartner touched on this in the first heat, the Youth Olympic champion from the first Youth Winter Games back in 2012. Benny Meyer was the silver medalist. Rudy Rinaldi was the bronze medalist. Both now retired after the 2022 games. And so Patrick Baumgartner is the only one remaining. Loads and loads of fans here, really encouraging. Ivo Ferriani, president of the IBSF, chatting with Alex Virginia. Ivo, of course, Italian, coached the Italian team. Coached the Canadians very successfully for a number of years before moving into the IBSF. And we have the Monobob race this afternoon down at the finish area. Last time down here, I mean, it's going to be a big change. Been coming here for nearly a quarter of a century, more than 20 years, and this has always been the finish area. Tight, congested, dangerous finishing in the tunnel, particularly for skeleton. I don't think anybody will be sad to see the end of it, but it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a whole new, well, not a whole new world, it'll be a partially new world next year. Lots of British fans watching the action here at the start and at the finish. Good viewing area at the finish, actually. You can get up on the balcony above the finish area. And a good opportunity to come out and watch the racing No skeleton this weekend or next weekend in Samaritz. Next skeleton World Cup will be in Lillehammer, and the first weekend in February. Race 6, IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. 10 down, and the final 10 sleds led off by Lee Chun-jan with his teenage brakeman Shi Yao-long. She started this season and has done 5 of the 6 races so far. Or 4 of the 5 so far. Did 1 of the 2 in Sigulda. 5:20 getaway. So they're getting up to top 10 starting speed. Teammate Sun Kai-chi and his brakeman 5:21 in the first heat, 5:19 in the second. So a little bit of bragging rights for Sun and Chen Heng, outstarting their teammates. But Lee, as he has done all season, out-driving Sun. Only the 8th best speed, dead level with Patrick Baumgartner, but from 500s up now, dropping back. Only the 7th best speed. It's a loose run from Lee Chun-jan. This could see him cross the line down in 4th or 5th place, maybe. 3rd on the splits ahead of Mihai Tentea. 3rd it is, 51.53. So Patrick Baumgartner, you saw on the right-hand side of the shot in the leader's box with Rob Messier. Lee Chun-jan and Shi Yao-long drop a couple of spots to 3rd with 8 to go. Well, Lee's previous best on this track, a tie for 12th place last year. And so he will be no worse than 11th. And still with such a tight lead group, might actually end up with a top 10 result out of this. Either way, it's an improvement on last year, and should have been better than that. It was an untidy second heat for Lee. Speed's one thing, consistency is an entirely different thing. Kim Jin-soo and Kim Hyung-gyun next for Korea. 29-year-old driver, 25-year-old brakeman. It's only the 8th World Cup for Kim Jin-soo as a driver, but he is a prodigious starter. They started 5:11 in the first heat, 5:12 in the second. They are the 3rd fastest starting crew in the business. Only Lochner and Friedrich got away quicker. This is actually his 25th two-man World Cup, but only the 8th where he can see where he's going. Not the greatest speed at the Kreisel. 2200s up. Still somehow opening the advantage over Baumgartner, but this is a little wild. Gap coming down, yes. Should have the lead. This should be 8th place for Kim Jin-soo at the line, or the lead at the line, rather, no worse than 8th at the end of the race, 51.32. Again, 1100s quicker than his first heat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Those runners, luckily, aren't going to have to be used again today, because they're going to need a bit of sanding. The rubber is certainly a lot more beneficial than concrete, but it does gather lots of dust and grit and yak. Big skid, 9 to 10. And this is down into the right-hander at 11. Yeah, untidy run, did somehow hold it together. We are hearing that we may not be seeing Marcus Treichel in the second heat. Well, that's in 2 or 3 sleds' time. Jakobs Kellender next up, with Mats Miknes behind him. So the Latvians lying in 8th after the first of the 2 heats. Previous best here last year, his only World Cup here, 15th. Raced here twice in Europe Cup and Junior Worlds, so he does know the track. 4 different race weekends here before this one. 5:13, another strong getaway. Just 100 slower than Kim Jin-soo of Korea. They were tied to the 100th, hence he's in the red. 400's back. Now don't forget that the Korean was pretty loose below the Kreisel. 400's back. There's a chance here for Callender if he keeps it tidy. Comes off the Kreisel relatively straight into 8. Out of 9, second best speed. He's dead level. Blue numbers is a dead heat. Into the green. 300's up. Better speed than we saw from Kim Jin-soo of Korea. He is going to break the tie and take the lead by 800s. 51.24. That's very nearly 0.2 faster. Sandis Proust is liking that. So good run in the second heat from Jakobs Callender. 15th last year. Will be no worse than 8th, possibly 7th if Treichel doesn't go. And who knows, maybe a top 6 might beckon. That was a good improvement. 7 down to 8, got a little tap away, and then 9 to 10 was clean. Down here in the labyrinth, like everybody else, hard to keep all 4 runners on the deck when you're going from corner to corner there. Dave Vesselink, what a day. Just missed out on the second heat in St. Moritz because of an early start draw. Gets the second heat here, well, because of an early start draw. Third off is Poison Chalice in St. Moritz. Solid gold here. 5:17, so 11th fastest start with Jelin Francic. Jelin looked pretty beaten up after the first heat. And they didn't race 4-man in St. Moritz after the crash in Winterberg. Jelin and Janko Francic both with broken bones. Jelin in and down. 5:15, well, if that's what he does when he's hurting as much as he is now, you know they're strong starters. Best start velocity so far. We've had a 5:12 and a 5:13 off, and that's all about technique. 600's up on Jakobs Callender. He was 800's up from the first heat. Callender started 200's quicker. It's a great opportunity for Dave Vesselink to show his chops in amongst the top drivers in the World Cup. He's in the top 10. Good height. Nice out of 10. Only a 10th back. Second place is 800's back. Third or second at the line, third at the line, with potentially 7 to go. That is a top 10 result, I think, for Dave Vesselink. That is very impressive. Yeah, Jelin saying, don't hit me too hard. Needs help out of the sled still. Down through the labyrinth, rocking and rolling, that can't have been comfortable. And again, that skid from the Kreisel down into 8th that so many people are taking. But Dave Vesselink and Jelin Francic in third place with potentially only 5 to go. Now, Brad Hall and Taylor Lawrence for Great Britain. 6th fastest at the start, 6th at the bottom. 5:14 getaway. I know that Big T would like to get it closer to 5:10. 5:17, not quite as quick. So Brad only one previous World Cup result here in Innsbruck. Finished 11th last year. Now, if this is the track on which Francesco Friedrich has most win, this is the track on which Brad Hall probably has least experience of them all. There's one previous race, no Europe Cup. Second best speed. Keeping a 0.2 of a second lead over the Jakobs Callender. This could push him up the order a little. 6th after the first heat. Probably not going to be a medal-winning run, but a 51.26 is a decent run. Big T hauling on the brakes for all he's worth. 51.26, second fastest run. 51.24 from Jacob's calendar. Lots of family and friends here for Brad. Sean Olsen, Graham Richardson, Greenwood in the background. Lots of hot air helping them off the line. Nice exit out of 9. See that little uphill exit out of 9, and then he dropped back down into 10. Yeah, looks like they were loading them on the old EasyJet. Brad Hall leads with 5 to go, make that 4. There is no Marcus Treichel and Sasha Stepan, so Frank Del Duca and Charles Volker, 4th after the first heat. 3/10 off the lead, 1,500 ahead of current leader Brad Hall, and 1,100 tantalisingly away from the medals. Frankie had a really good first run. 4th place here last year, 4th place in the first heat. Charles Volker's 4th two-man World Cup start, the brakeman behind him. Chris Folk to the back, yelling them off. .5:15 getaway, a whisker quicker than their first heat, and a couple of hundreds added to their advantage over Brad Hall, so 1,700s up as he sits down. Now he's really got to start multiplying that advantage. It's drifting away already, only 1,400s up. Gap's coming down, 1,300s up, not getting the speeds off the sled. Still 1,300s up. Not tidy out of 9, clean out of 10. A good labyrinth, could see him 2/10 up on Brad Hall. He's flying at the bottom. Across the line, 2,300s up, 51.18. I was going to say 100th, that's actually 1,300 slower than his first heat. But that is guaranteed a top 4 run for the 2nd year in succession here. Well, equal best World Cup performance, 4th place in Innsbruck, along with Laplan in December 2022. And he's going to do it again. He leads with 3 to go, Frank Del Duca of the USA. Three to go in Innsbruck. Last year, bronze medalist on this track, Adam Amour with brother Issam, and today with Nick Stadelman making his 2-man World Cup debut behind Amour. I beg your pardon, his 2nd 2-man World Cup race. He raced in Sigulda race 2. So his previous outing with Adam got crashed on his head. 5.06, so actually this is the 2nd time in a World Cup race that Stadelman has made a 2nd push. Because with 3 crashes in a row in the 2 races in Sigulda, Adam Amour was pulled from the final heat. 3,300s up, building a big advantage over Frank Del Duca. It was 1,900s from the first heat, 3,800s up, best speed. The 3 FES sleds are the fastest through all the speed traps here. .3800s up, the gap is growing, he's on his way to the medals. He'll take the lead from Frank Del Duca with 2 to go, 50.9, quicker than his first heat. So there is still a tiny bit of speed to be found in the track, and they were 600s faster at the start as well. Nice exit, maybe just a whisker early. Got that skid going and hits the wall going into 8. Out of 9. Watch the runner tips. Yeah, he knew he was good, didn't he? Adam Moore, Nick Stadelman, guaranteed a medal. Two to go, and both of them started with track records today. Francesco Friedrich and Alex Schuller, 5:09 the start. And start record dates back to 2011. Oscars Melbardis and Dalmas Traskins setting the start record at 4:96. Unlikely to be beaten in the modern era. 5:09, equaling their first getaway. 1300s up over Adam Moore from the first heat. And Moore outstarting them by 300s in the second. 1200s up, so Friedrich starting to claw back that first heat advantage. Through the upper labyrinth, neat and tidy, down to the Kreisel. Looking for win number 13 on this track. In an all but unbroken streak. Only Johannes Lochner has interrupted that streak twice. 1800s up. Are we going to see a new track record from Friedrich? No, 50.83, 300s away from his previous run. And 800s off the track record, but he has the lead with 1 to go. And that means that Hansi Lochner has to be near perfect in the final run to take the gold. They tied last week in St-Moritz. And France with Alex Schuller behind him. They look pretty happy with that. Schuller, 5:09, 5:09. Yes, he'll be annoyed that Georg Fleischhauer got a 5:07 in the first heat with Hansi. They chase the records every time out. Just a tiny little runner check there from 9 down to 10. Less of a steer, more just a little shuffle of the fingers. So 1 to go. This for a third win here in two-man for Johannes Lochner. Winner last year and won race 1 in 2020-2021. How long ago was that? Well, it was before the last Olympics, but he had Eric Franke on the back of the sled. Hansi, meanwhile, with 4 silver medals here and 3 bronze medals as well. But this is for win number 3 with Georg Fleischhauer. Fastest start in the competition, 5:07. They'll need another. And that looked good, 5:05. Excellent starting. Loving this competition between our top drivers, and not just the 3 Germans. All of the top drivers pushing each other all the time. And 10th up. He had 500s ahead of Friedrich in the first heat. He had the top speed all the way down as well. 1100s up, but only the 3rd best speed in the Kreisel. Friedrich quicker. Now Hansi matches him for pace. 64.3 miles an hour. Quicker than Friedrich. Gap should have grown. 1700s, it has grown. New track record on the way for Johannes Lochner, surely to win the gold. Yes, 50.72. Gold for Hansi. And applause from the coaches and the other athletes there. Johannes Lochner, gold, and with Georg Fleischhauer, a 2nd track record here in Innsbruck, and that will stand forever. That is the last World Cup two-man race here before they rebuild the track. That's it. Now, getting the first ever is one thing. Whoever knows they're going to get the last ever, Hansi knows he's got the last ever record here in two-man. Well, 2 sparkling drives from Johannes Lochner and great starting with Georg Fleischhauer. Somehow, Big Georg has not only brought speed, but has helped Hansi enhance his starting speed as well. And here in Innsbruck, with speed at the start, comes speed all the way down the short ice track. Second win in a row in Innsbruck for Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer. Their second win in a row in the World Cup after tying Francesco Friedrich and Alex Schüller last weekend. They take a solo victory by 1600ths. Adam Amor in third. Frank Del Duca tying his best ever World Cup result in fourth ahead of Brad Hall, Jacobs Calendar, all getting PBs here. So is Kim Jin-soo and Dave Wesselink. 8th place finish. That's a remarkable day for the Dutch driver. And hopefully Marcus Treichel will be okay to go tomorrow in the four-man here on home ice in Innsbruck. If it was a problem with Sasha Stepan, they would have put in a different brakeman. If it's a problem with the driver, that's rather harder to do. And rather than risk injury, either for himself or Sasha, I think he decided not even to bother sitting in. So we will hopefully see him in tomorrow's four-man race, and that will be tomorrow morning. But this afternoon we have Monobob. That's at 2 local, 1300 GMT, 0800 Eastern. But for now, our race winners, Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer. Fastest start in the first heat, went quicker in the second heat. Track record in the first heat, went quicker in the second heat. So now, 3 wins this season for Hansi Lochner and 4 for Francesco Friedrich. It is tight at the top of the World Cup standings. Confirmation of those points. Friedrich just ahead of Lochner, Brad Hall in third. Baumgartner being closed by Frankie Del Duca and Adam Amor. Jacobs Calendar, Rona, Treichel slipping down towards the bottom of the top 10. And there are the rest of your top 20 points scorers so far in what is a very busy two-man season. And that 8th place from Dave Wesselink, nearly firing him up into the top 20 in just 3 race starts. Well, there's your podium. Lochner, Friedrich and Amor. As in Samaritz in the two-man, it is the same trio. And so it was in Winterberg, just in slightly different orders. Well, that's it then for the two-man competition this weekend. 1400 local, 1300 GMT, 0800 Eastern for the start of this afternoon's Monobob race. We will see you in about, what are we talking, an hour and 40 minutes from now.